The crimson sand of Kepler 442b swirled around David's boots as he crouched behind the twisted wreckage of their dropship. His tactical display flickered with warnings. Hull breach, life support failing, communications down. 3 days since the Zephyrian ambush had stranded them on this desolate world, and their situation grew more desperate by the hour. "David, I'm picking up movement on the ridge," Zoe whispered through her helmet comm, her voice barely audible over the howling wind. She lay prone 50 meters away, her sniper rifle trained on the rocky outcropping that dominated the valley. Her auburn hair was matted with sweat beneath her helmet, green eyes focused with the intensity that had made her the best marksman in the 47th Colonial Marines. David checked his ammo counter, 12 rounds left in his plasma rifle. Not nearly enough for what was coming. The Zephyrians had been probing their defenses for hours, testing their resolve with small scouting parties. But David knew the real assault was imminent. Intelligence suggested a full warpack of 200 hostiles was converging on their position. "How many?" he asked, adjusting his grip on the weapon that had become an extension of himself over 5 years of frontier warfare. "At least 30 visible contacts, probably twice that number hidden," Zoe's scope whirred as she tracked movement. "They're positioning for a coordinated strike." David's mind raced through tactical options. The Zephyrians were formidable opponents, 8-foot-tall reptilian humanoids with natural armor plating and reflexes that made them deadly in close combat. Their technology matched human capabilities, but their numerical advantage on this world was overwhelming. "Command, this is Echo 7, David transmitted on the emergency frequency, knowing the signal was likely too weak to reach orbit. "Request immediate extraction. 2 Marines, coordinates follow." Static answered him. Zoe shifted position, her rifle never wavering from the ridge. "David, remember what Sergeant Morrison used to say about impossible odds?" Despite their situation, David smiled grimly. "That's when humans get creative." "Exactly." Zoe's voice carried a note of determination that reminded David why he'd followed her through hell on 6 different worlds. "I've been analyzing their movement patterns. They're predictable. Always attack from high ground, always in formation." David crawled closer to her position, keeping low as plasma bolts sizzled overhead. "What are you thinking?" Zoe pointed to a narrow canyon that cut through the ridge. "They'll funnel through there for the final assault. It's the only approach that gives them cover from our position. And the canyon walls are composed of crystalline silicon deposits, highly unstable when subjected to rapid temperature changes." Her finger traced the geological formation on her tactical display. A few well-placed shots could bring down half that ridge. David studied the terrain with new eyes. The plan was audacious, possibly suicidal, but it had the unpredictability that humans were famous for throughout the galaxy. While other species relied on superior numbers or advanced technology, humanity's greatest weapon had always been their willingness to attempt the impossible. "We'll need to get closer," he said. "Close enough to ensure accurate shots at the stress points." "I know." Zoe's jaw tightened. "It means leaving cover, exposing ourselves completely." The ground trembled as the Zephyrian warpack began its advance. Through his scope, David could see them moving with military precision, a living wave of death flowing down the canyon walls. Their reptilian features were hidden behind tactical masks, but their intent was unmistakable. "On my mark," David said, checking his rifle's power cell one final time. "We sprint to that outcropping, take the shots, and pray the math works." Zoe nodded, her breathing steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "For the record, if we survive this, I'm recommending you for psychological evaluation. Only if you survive to file the paperwork." The first wave of Zephyrians crested the ridge, their war cries echoing across the valley. David counted 40, 50 more emerging from concealment. Their plasma rifles began laying down suppressing fire, turning their defensive position into a killing field. "Now," David shouted. They broke cover simultaneously, sprinting across open ground as energy bolts seared the air around them. David's enhanced suit servos whined with effort as he pushed his body beyond normal human limits. Beside him, Zoe moved with fluid grace, her rifle steady despite their desperate run. They dove behind the outcropping just as a plasma bolt melted the rock where David's head had been moments before. No time to recover. The Zephyrians were already adjusting their aim. Zoe was first to acquire her target. The canyon's eastern wall showed stress fractures where geological pressure had created natural weak points. Her rifle's scope calculated wind speed, Atmospheric density, target distance. One shot, it had to be perfect. The plasma bolt struck the crystal formation with surgical precision. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then spiderweb cracks began spreading across the canyon wall like lightning frozen in stone. David targeted the western wall, finding the corresponding stress point Zoe had identified. His shot followed hers by milliseconds. The twin impacts created a harmonic resonance that propagated through the crystalline structure with devastating effect. The first Zephyrian warriors had just entered the canyon when 50,000 tons of rock and crystal came crashing down. The rumble was felt for kilometers as the ridge collapsed, sealing the canyon and crushing the assault force beneath an avalanche of debris. Silence fell over the valley, broken only by the settling of disturbed rock and the distant whistle of wind through the ruins. Zoe lowered her rifle, staring at the transformed landscape. "I can't believe that actually worked." David was about to respond when his comm system crackled to life. A human voice, clear and strong, cut through the static. "Echo 7, this is Admiral Chen aboard the CNS Intrepid. We received your distress beacon. Extraction team inbound to your position." David and Zoe exchanged glances. Against impossible odds, using nothing but human ingenuity and 2 rifles, they had eliminated an enemy force 100 times their size. As the rescue shuttles descended through Kepler 442b's crimson sky, David reflected on what made humanity unique in a galaxy full of stronger, faster, more technologically advanced species. It wasn't their weapons or their ships. It was their refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible. The Zephyrians had learned that lesson the hard way. And across the galaxy, word would spread of the day 2 humans turned physics into their greatest weapon. Some called it luck. Others called it madness. Humans simply called it Tuesday.